Hello, folks. I'm glad you can be with me today. And I've been telling you uh, for ever since I've been doing videos live, or that I'm going to tell you my worst day in Vietnam. And I had to figure out how I was going to tell it to sound vulgar or anything. So today I'm going to tell you that little story. And to be truthful, I didn't think I was going to make it that day. And at the time I had one last mission I had to complete, and all my missions, 100 missions, would be over. And throughout those 100 missions, I'd had little things happen, but none that I had time to get nervous about or really upset about. But this one, I had a long time to think about how things was, and I didn't think I was going to make it. But I'm going to tell it to you, and uh, it's exactly the way it happened, the best I can remember. Now, there's little parts of it that's kind of fuzzy to me, and I'll just leave them out because I really don't remember what happened in that time span. But I don't know if you'll be able to detect it or not. But I'm going to tell you, and I hope you enjoy it. It's the truth. Uh, no, I didn't get wounded or anything like that. I'll let you know that right up front. So there was no medals or anything involved. But here we go. I'm going to tell you from the very start when I received the mission. Now I can't tell you the exact date because uh, all I can tell you is that close date to it, close timeline to it. So here we go. Uh, I had one mission left to have my 100 missions in. And then after that mission was over, I'd have 6 more months to serve in Vietnam. Would make my 2 years complete. And along about 4 o'clock in the day, they sent a runner to my office in the PX warehouse. And uh, I'd already been told I was going to run the PX when I got done, or they'd give me the choice, and what I told them I'd do. And I knew I had one mission left, and I didn't know when it was going to come, but I'd already set me an office up in the PX warehouse. So they sent me a runner over, and he come in and he says, Sergeant, they got a mission for you. He said they want you over to headquarters in about 45 minutes. And I said, okay. So I went over, and my mission was it was not a sniper mission, it was just a reconnaissance mission. But I had a target, a opportune target that might show. Uh, and if he did, I was to take him out. But I'd be using a nest that I had been in probably 25 times and never had no real problem while I was in the nest. Now, I had problems coming back from the nest at times, but you'd already heard about one of those, I think. But They come in, they hand me my pamphlet, and I turned it in, and it had a picture of my opportune target. I knew the man. Uh, of course, he was an enemy, but what I'm saying by I knew him, I had seen him at the compound before that he was going to be at and where my mission was going to take place. But that didn't necessarily mean, oh, excuse me, it didn't necessarily mean he was going to be there at this time that I would be there for this mission. So I went over my pamphlet, find out what I was supposed to gather intelligence on, and I got that set in my mind. And once I got that set in my mind, I had to go and stay in the dark room for 8 hours. And I told him I'd go ahead and stay for 12 because uh, I was going to have to leave in the night anyhow. And I just soon to stay until it was time for me to leave. And they said that'd be all right. So I gathered all my gear up. I don't know why I'm sleepy. I gathered all my gear up, got my suit and everything I had to take with me, got me some my supplies, and got a couple of grenades, and I had 5 rounds on me. Oh no, take that back. I had 6 rounds on me, but they wouldn't be chambered in the rifle unless I seen my target. But anyhow, um, I was going to leave at 1 o'clock in the morning, and because it took me 2 hours to walk through the jungle and get to my nest. And everything seemed like it was going to be as it was. Every other time I went, I had no problems. I left at 1 o'clock and uh, had eaten something just before my 1 o'clock came about because I didn't have time to stop and eat anything on the way. And I ate a couple of little energy snacks from an MRE, and I believe I had a beef, if I remember correctly. It was a steak and potatoes, and a couple of energy snacks from MREs that I'd saved out, like a chocolate bar and stuff like that. And we had uh, 3 or 4 different kinds of chocolate bars. I think the one I ate was German chocolate, best I remember, because it has a lot more energy in it. But anyhow, I started on my mission, and I walked out into the jungle through the tunnel, and I always uh, watch for uh, somebody to be around at the tunnel when I come out because you look for tripwires because you never know when they might find out where that tunnel was at. And I had to take it slow the first 25, 30 yards to make sure there wasn't no booby traps. And so when I got up, I was confident that I could go on my way. I got up off my belly and started making way to my nest. And I walked for, it was about uh, roughly 2,000 meters. And uh, for anybody that don't know, that's 2 clicks. And I had no problems going to my nest at all. I pulled down. I got my trigger line. I pulled it down, dropped my rope, my ascending rope, and I ascended up the tree. And the rope had knots on it you used to climb by. Of course, I could climb it. It was only 30 feet up. I could climb it with the full pack that I had on without knots, but it just made it easier. So when I got up there, I pulled my rope up and my trigger rope, got them where they wouldn't be detected. We had a way to do that. And I settled in for the rest of the night. And I would start my mission at actually at 8 o'clock the next morning, but I would wake up as soon as it got daylight because I never could sleep after it got daylight. And I'd already in place. Oh, I went uh, to sleep while I was up there a little bit, kind of cat nap. And as soon as that morning sound of the birds and stuff and chirping hit me, well, I woke right up. And there was a couple of monkeys above me in the tree where I was at. And I sat there and I was waiting for time for my reconnaissance to take place, which would be around 8 o'clock. Along about 7 or 6:30 or 7, uh, I think it was closer to 7. 5-man patrol came out of the compound, and it took them about 10 minutes to get to where I was at, and they walked straight under my tree, and they was on a all day patrol. They'd be back in around 5 uh, or so, and go back in the compound. And that's when I would be getting out of my tree after they passed, because I had to stay there all day. You didn't take a chance of coming down if you had to take out somebody for sure, because they got a quick way of finding out where that boy, the direction it came from, and it don't take them long to get in them woods, and there'd be 45 or 50 of them looking for you. But anyhow, I kind of catnapped, woke up right at maybe 5 minutes after daybreak, and was watching the monkeys play, and got everything set up. Um, got my binoculars out, got my scope ready to look through, and had them all secure so they couldn't get away from me. And at 8 o'clock, I began my reconnaissance. Now, a lot of times, reconnaissance is just sitting and watching, but you'll have certain things you have to watch for. And one of the things that I had to watch for, if there was any uh, unidentified uh, military vehicles come in that I hadn't seen there before. And if so, record what they were and how many got out of each car and who was in them if you knew them. But at least record the rank if you could get that. So I started watching about 8 o'clock. There wasn't nothing. Oh, I know what made me sleepy. I took my medicine a while ago. But anyhow, uh, it was along about 9:30 before my first vehicle come in, And when it come in, it was a Jeep. It was the sergeant of the guards, their version of it. And he had been out making sure all posts were covered. And I think he was bringing one back that was unfamiliar to me, but he looked like he was sick and was going to their infirmary. And of course, I logged all that. And it wasn't another vehicle come until about roughly 10 o'clock, 10:30. I can't remember which it was, but I think it was closer to 10 o'clock. And when that one got there, it was uh, a Chinese version of our Jeep. It was a Jeep sort of a vehicle. I don't know what you call them, but it was their version, what they use like we use a Jeep. It was 4-wheel drive and it go anywhere. But it was odd looking compared to the Jeep. Of course, Jeep was odd looking, but we was used to it. But that was one of them kind of had them sloped uh, fenders on it, and the nose was sloped on each, and the tail was sloped, and it was a funny looking little vehicle. And only 4 people could get in it. Same as you could ride 5 if you had to in a Jeep. But anyhow, I made my notes on that, and there was nobody unusual in that. And actually, I didn't have nobody unusual until about 12 o'clock. And at 12 o'clock came, there was 3 vehicles. There was a flag flying for their version of a Code 7. And I think their Code 7 was a full kernel like ours was. And I'm not sure how they coded their uh, ranks because they was a little different code than our officer rank officers was. But our next one from Code 7 was a Code 8, and I think they went something else. I can't remember now what it was. It was like a Code 8, 8 or 9-1 or uh, a 10-1. I think a 10-1 was a 3-star general. Uh, Code 10 was maybe a general, and a Code 9 was Code 9 was two. Code 9. I don't know. It was all messed up compared to ours, but it's hard to even sit and talk about it, not remembering that good that far back. But anyhow, uh, the guy they wanted me to take out wasn't in that bunch, and I never uh, done nothing but record what I saw, type big it was, how many was in it, and close to the rank as I could. And uh, the highest I seen that day was a colonel, so I don't know if they wanted any more or not, but I took down everybody I seen, how many's in every vehicle. And I think they had a total of 12 officers come in vehicles that day, best I remember. And uh, the one that they wanted me to take out, uh, he come in at about 4 o'clock, and uh, I never did get a chance to shoot him because uh, those 5 uh, that 5-man patrol had come back in while I was waiting on something to happen over at what's called, and they were sitting directly under my tree. When they come back, they started goofing off because they didn't have to be back until 5 or 5:30, whatever it was. They supposed to be back, and they had come back early uh, at about 3 o'clock and sat directly down under my tree. And so I'd been sitting there when this last guy came in with another couple of vehicles, but I couldn't take a shot because I had people directly under me, and I had a good silencer, but it wasn't that good. And like I say, they've been sitting there since about 3 o'clock. Well, along about just before these at 4 o'clock when this uh, three vehicles come in that I took information off of, and the one that I was supposed to take out if I could. It wasn't a have to case. Uh, I had to pee something bad, and I couldn't pee as long as them guys was down there under me. And I was sitting there holding it and wishing that they would get up and go. And the 5 o'clock came, and I was about to bust. And them old boys sitting there having a ball. I didn't even have a round chambered in my weapon because I never did chamber one until I had a target. And uh, I was getting miserable. And they was just sitting there playing. They was playing mumble peg, what we call mumble peg, for a while, and different things, different little games. They chewing beetle nut and smoking dope, and I don't think they was drinking any uh, rice wine or anything, but they was smoking plenty of dope and marijuana, and they also chewed beetle nut. Now, I don't know what beetle nut done, but turned their teeth black. I know that. But I was getting in bad shape. I was going to have to do something because I couldn't let go and urinate because if I did, you don't know where it's going to go. Even though, even if I pee on myself and soak it up as much as I could, some of it could drip off to where they was at. Because that place up there, although the limbs were big, they weren't waterproof. And it would work its way around and start dripping if you put out a good regular pee. And so along about 5:30, I made my mind up that I wasn't going to throw a grenade because we was having trouble with our grenades going off early. And getting the timing right was going to be questionable. And if I didn't get it just right, they'd pick it up and throw it back at me because they know it had to come up from somewhere above or close, a little higher than what they was because the way it would have come in almost straight down. And it would have just landed with a thud because a grenade, a shrapnel grenade, is not like the one they had in World War II. These were loaded with buckshot. Now, I don't know what size buckshot, but they were bigger than a regular BB. And so I done made up my mind I wasn't going to take the chance of throwing a grenade or loading my rifle because I only had 5 shots or 6 shots, and if I'd made a mislick and made a little bit too much noise that rifle, they'd have heard it. So I just done made my mind up it wasn't going to happen. So about a quarter to six, I had a leather tongue that was on my compass, and it was it was about that long, and I used it around my neck when I was reading my compass and going by it, traveling by it, and I took that leather tongue off my compass, and I literally tied that leather tongue around my privates uh, to make sure I didn't leak out any urine, and I tied it pretty tight. The only thing I know to do. And I know what was going to happen as soon as I tied it tight like that, but I didn't have no choice. I know I was going to keep backing up and backing up. And when you have to go, your body's going to let you go, regardless if you don't do something, and because you'll leak it out. And I tied it tight enough that it wouldn't leak it out. And I sat there uh, almost 30 minutes. Uh, I sat there, and them boys, they didn't have no sign of getting up and going. And they was getting high on that dope. And I thought they'd be leaving by 6 o'clock. And then I could release that after they got out of sight. And uh, it just kept getting worse. And they just kept playing around down there. I was getting dizzy. My skin was turning yellow from the jaundice that was from it was backing up in my kidneys. And I was miserable. And I didn't think I was going to make it out of there alive. I just had already decided this, if something didn't happen quick, this is going to be it. And along about 6:30, now it didn't get dark over there until almost 10 o'clock, so I wasn't worried about it getting dark. But I just worried about them leaving before I could undo that leather strap. And they kept playing around, and I kind of uh, faded out for a few minutes. And the next time I looked at my watch, it was about 6:30, and Lord, I was feeling bad. I didn't really didn't even have the strength to move because I was in such bad shape. I was my my hands on top was turning yellow. I know my face had to be, and I was miserable. I know anybody that's ever had to go and couldn't go for some reason and had to hold it. Just holding it yourself, you can only go so long, and then you cramp up, and when you do go, you can't hardly get it to come out. And I done passed that point. And along about 7 o'clock, I kind of lost track of time. I'm thinking it was around 7 or 7:15, something like that. Them boys finally got up and decided to go back to the base. Well, I had to wait still until I saw them go into the compound. Now I couldn't see the gate, but after about 5 minutes after they went through that gate, I'd be able to see them walking down through the compound. I always seen them. They was going to their command post to report in, and uh, so I waited until I was going to see them go in, and all that was a miserable wait because uh, I just had to make sure there wasn't nobody else around, and one of them didn't stop and come back for something that dropped or whatever. But all five of them made them into the what you call it. And then I had to make sure that there wasn't nobody else make any movement or anything around where I could hear them. And everything was a chirping. All the animals was moving around, so I knowed everything was all right after I cleared. So I had to get that tongue off of my privates, and I got my knife out. Now my knife was razor sharp. I could shave with it at any time. And I'd already tried to get to that tongue. My privates had swelled up on each side of that tongue that big around, and actually bigger next to my body. It was maybe about like that. And that leather tongue was about 2 inches deep in the crevice where I tied it, and it had swelled up on each side. So what I had to do, I know that it was going to be rough, but I had to take and bend my privates over and separate the skin enough that I could get down to where that leather was. And I took that knife, and when I got down there, I sliced that leather. And leather's tough, and you have to slice it. You can't just push down on it and break it. And when I sliced that, I cut myself uh, pretty much on my privates and started losing blood pretty quick. And it was dark red where I'd had it clotted or tied up. It couldn't get out, and I cut it on the side away from my body, and that blood was just almost a black blood, dark red. And when I cut that leather tongue, oh, I started burning. It would not come out. I had to massage myself in the groin uh, to get that to come out. And finally, when it did, it just barely started dribbling, and then all of a sudden, uh, it burst a stream out, and it was like you'd run a hot poker in my privates. It burnt to seventh heaven, and it got on that cut I made, and it's once it started squirting, it squirted a good 10 feet away from me. So I'd been in a heck of a shape if them boys had been under that tree still. And uh, I got all that out. It took forever, seemed like, and I had to pee over and over again for a few minutes, little squirts of urine, and uh, I just didn't have no strength at all. And I finally got done peeing. I bandaged myself up the best I could with my uh, kit that I got, and I knew it wasn't big enough to have to put stitches in it because it wasn't deep. It was just the top layer of skin. But I had some butterfly bandages that I pulled the skin back together and taped it with them butterfly bandages. I think I put three of them on because it was well big enough that I could put three on. And I mean, it was humongous for something that had been so small. But I kind of, I got to kind of poured some water over it real quick and got it to quit bleeding. And so I got put my first aid kit up, and I had to sit there and I got me out some chocolate bars, and I ate a couple chocolate bars, to try to get me some strength up. And I let my trigger rope down and my climbing rope, and I got down, and then I took my trigger rope and I pulled my vine back up with it. And then after I got it up where it was supposed to go, I went and took my trigger rope over and put it on in the bushes in the tree that we kept it in all the time. You couldn't see it even knowing where it was at. You could never detect it. You had to go in there and look for it, feel for it. And I got all that taken care of and brought my gear down with me. I, I thought I was going to fall the last 5, 10 feet because my arms were about to give way on me. Normally I go up and down like a monkey, but I just was weak from all this turmoil I was going through. And when I got down, I got everything secured. I started back toward uh, base camp at Tuiwa, and I walked about I don't know 75 meters, and I thought I was going to pass out. So what I done, I got off the path going through the jungle about 10 feet and walked just in case I did pass out. And I did later on after oh, about 1,200 meters. I passed out for about, I don't know, I really can't tell you because you can't judge a pass out, but it was still daylight when I woke up. And uh, I don't know. It was probably about maybe 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 5. I don't know. But anyhow, I got up and I started walking again. And I was following that path, but I was off of it just a little ways. If you was off of it about 10 feet and passed out, if somebody walking that path, they'd never see you because it was 3 foot of overgrowth. And I've had to lay in that overgrowth several times uh, going before because there was a patrol or something going by me. And I've had snakes crawl over right straight across me. Uh, uh, they weren't pit vipers, so wasn't heat seekers, but if, they would just crawl right over top of you. I don't know what kind it was because I didn't take time to look at them. It was dark. I could just feel them. But anyhow, uh, I woke up, got to my feet again, and I was able to walk the rest of the way to the infirmary without passing up. Now I stopped and rested a minute or two now and then, but I made it all the way back to the base camp, and I didn't go through the tunnel. I just went straight. The main gate was closer than the tunnel was, so I just went straight to the main gate and told them to call me an ambulance, and I sat down. And the ambulance come got me and took me to the infirmary, and they kept me in overnight, but they cleaned my wound there that I made on myself, and they cleaned that up and everything, and wanted to know how it happened. I told them, and they said, "Well, we can't make a record of you." I said, "I know I don't exist, not in that capacity anyhow." And I said, "If you just give me some penicillin or something for keep down the infection, whatever they have to take." I said, "I'm afraid to get infected because I got pee all over myself." And um, they give me something. I think it was penicillin, best I remember, or maybe it was just something to keep it from getting infection. I don't know. They give me an ointment too. I think that's somewhat for that. but they could have been something got in my bloodstream, but because of the wound was opening so much and messed with. But luckily, I made it through, and about 2 days later, I told Bob, I said, that was the guy that's going to be working with me uh, in the warehouse, and we both had same amount of time to go, but uh, he was just somebody that I picked because I liked the way he worked. He's a good guy, and after about 2 days of recuperation, I was able to get up and help him, and but I was out of it for about 2 days. They had to give me a shot for some medication, and so, but I made it, and I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all watching this, and I'm going to close it out now. And y'all give me a like and subscribe if you can, and I'd appreciate it. And I'll catch you all tomorrow. God bless you, and He will if you let Him. And I'll catch you on the next one. Y'all have a good night.